Welcome, everybody, to the Sport of Business podcast. I'm one half of the podcast, Gabe Fowler. Today, I'm super excited to be interviewing Malcolm Bell of Undefeated Quarterback Training. He's been a big part in Richmond for a number of reasons, so I'm super excited to have him on the podcast. Malcolm, thank you for being here.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to kind of talk about the landscape of the quarterback position.
Definitely. So I guess just for the few, maybe one or two people that don't know who you are and don't know what your brand is, just give them a quick, 5 to 10,
Yeah,
a few minute rundown
got
on.
you. Yeah, so my name is Malcolm Bell. I played high school ball at Henrico High School, so I'm from Richmond, Virginia. Played college ball at North Carolina Central. Was fortunate to have great teammates, great coaches, and won 3 conference championships there. Went on, got a shot to play in the CFL. Didn't necessarily work out. Came home. So for the past 6 years, I've been kind of mentoring and coaching quarterbacks in a private setting. And as of late, it's kind of blown up a little bit in terms of the guys that we have, and also the talent that I'm able to develop right now, in the way that I am doing it at this point in time. So just happy to be here.
And so when did you know that you wanted to start a brand? Was it always after your playing career, or were there some things that kind of rolled into you starting this up?
So I would say when I got to college, first summer camp, I thought I was, all good. You go, in your city, you're one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best players on your team, and then you get to college and everyone's good. Everybody's got that physical ability. Everybody can go. And so I saw very quickly that it was things that I was missing out on that I never really got coached on, whether it was something mechanical, whether it was, this coverage here or how to read that. I was kind of always, I was, from behind, I just wasn't out in front. I wasn't as sharp as the other guys were when I got there. And yeah, I was the youngest guy, but at the same time, I feel like, if you look at the time now, guys know everything. They're super clean in their mechanics if their ceiling allows it. But that's what kind of drove me. So I was sitting in my dorm room one time, and it was after a bad practice, and I was just like, whenever I finish playing football, like I'm gonna make sure that I go back and act as someone that can give young athletes or young quarterbacks kind of the small little details to be successful at the position for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's amazing that you saw that and used it as a way to say, I'm going to take my experience of it and help others. Because, sometimes it's kind of like, this is my experience, and then it just dies there, and that's kind of what it is. It's just like, my coach did this to me, or whatever the case is, or this was how I was coached.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of where it stops there. So, I mean, that's really great that you kind of saw more for that. I guess starting off, when did you decide to? Because I mean, I mentioned it to you before, but like looking at your brand, your page, it's just so like clean cut. So just it gives off a certain presence. Like, when did you decide, like, okay, now I'm starting my brand, but like this is how I want to present it? Like, how did you already see that going in to creating it?
So we'll rewind all the way back to high school when, kind of Instagram was the new thing. I was always kind of intrigued by social media. I was just one of those kids that was always kind of just, I don't know. I was just kind of, back in the day, they would say you were addicted to it.
Right.
And sometimes I say I'm glad that I was kind of that way early on, because I started to learn about branding naturally. I started to learn about your social perception and how people can view you, and what are the little small things you can do. So through my playing career, I used to make like highlight tapes for my teammates. I made highlight tapes for myself. And so, I minored in business management. So it was kind of like I was putting my professional side, out off of the field. I was able to kind of develop this skill set of marketing myself, being able to, throw out certain things, creative things to catch people's eyes. So I've
Definitely.
always had that, and some people don't know. I'm also in marketing and communications at Trinity Episcopal School as well.
Mhm.
So that is literally my like profession. I like to do that stuff. I
Yeah,
enjoy it. It comes easy to me. So
definitely.
that was me and me creating that undefeated brand actually landed me that job because I was able to show
Oh,
that
wow.
I knew how to build brands. I knew how to market. I knew, just kind of attacking certain demographics and things like that. So it just worked
Right.
out that I knew how to market, and that's kind of what built it up. Just my creative ideas and things like that to
Definitely.
catch interested quarterbacks' eyes.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think even one thing that I saw, I believe it was on your Twitter, it says like quarterback consultant. And I was like, ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Like, like even just that like
yeah,
word just already brings like that white
hmm
glove service, that experience. And I
correct.
mean, I've seen just as you've been, opening up more different just avenues
hmm
for the quarterbacks that you bring in. I
Yeah,
mean, doing like summits and things like that, like creating an overall experience.
yeah,
Like, how important is that when creating a brand like this? Because I'm sure there's obviously plenty of other coaches out there.
yeah.
Like, how important is it when creating a brand to have an experience and define your experience in that?
Yeah, so I think you just have to be mindful going in that, once you go in this profession, you are probably top four most important people in that kid's life, to be
Mm,
honest, because you see
right,
them so much. And so you have to provide them with like an ecosystem that like drives development naturally,
right.
organically. Just so you're in the space and it's naturally getting you better. I can't tell you, how many times I'll get quarterbacks that maybe haven't played a lot of football, but you put them around a lot of guys that have played football.
Right.
And I think I've done a really good job with Undefeated, where all of the older guys, they aren't big time. None of those guys are Hollywood. Everybody wants to come back and help at camps. They want to
Yeah.
be in those sessions with the younger guys. If I feel like a younger guy is, maybe he might be, the next good quarterback to come out of Richmond, Virginia. I will take him out of whatever group and I will stick him in another ecosystem where it might be a little bit more competitive, or these guys might be able to say, hey, like this might work in this level, but the next level where you're trying to go to is not going to
Right.
work. So just trying to do all of those things. I have something coming up where I'm also bringing in kind of just people to help them navigate the NIL waters,
Oh,
to navigate athlete marketing, because I really care about it.
yeah,
Um, you
definitely.
know, having a lot of stuff where they see, I'm just big on just holistic development.
Right.
I can't really half-ass it. I
Definitely. Yeah.
have to make sure that if I'm taking these kids under my wing, I'm allowing them to kind of experience any and everything that you would have to experience before you leave my program and go off to college. And that's Division 1 to the Division 3, right? I want a Division 3
Yeah.
school to say the same things a Division 1 school would say. Man, this quarterback is, advanced. He's used to it. He understands what we're saying. He understands verbiage, and different terminologies, and base understanding the concepts. Like, I
Right.
want people to know that they got an undefeated quarterback when they get to the next
Mm.
level.
Yeah, I mean that's powerful right there. Like even you just saying that. And when did you know? Because now that you're kind of talking about it and everything, I'm curious. Like when did you know? Okay, I have something here. Like I mean, of course you go into it with
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be the best that I can and
Mhm.
I'm gonna do right by these kids, things like that. But then when did you kind of see like, oh, okay, this kid's starting to do something. This kid's starting to get stats. Like when did you have that moment for you?
So I think, going into it, I was kind of skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we can jump back to the branding piece, and some
Yeah.
people think I'm crazy, but when I first started it out, I took my name out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I went in just, at first it was RVA Quarterback and Skills Academy, and then it branched off to Undefeated Quarterback Training and all that stuff. And, you know, I didn't have my name on every single thing. So when
Right.
I went into it, it was kind of just saying, I'm going to take the name out of it, and I'm going to see if people are really interested in just actually doing quarterback training.
Mm.
Right. So
Smart.
take the
Yeah.
person out of it. Is there actually a market to do it?
Right.
And I quickly found out that it was a market to do it. And it's not that other people were never doing it, but I think just, when you start things and you're younger, right, you
Right.
got a little bit more energy, kids start to kind of naturally, you know, flock to you. They want to be around you. They think you're the cool guy on the block. And so I benefited from that in the
Yeah.
beginning, I will say. And starting out again, I'm not the same trainer as I was. I started turning a corner, and that's kind of answering the question that you
Yeah.
asked. But, I started turning a corner probably about 2 or 3 years after I started.
Mm.
And it became apparent that when you looked at quarterbacks that were under undefeated's umbrella, they did things a little bit different.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying that they had the best stats, right? I didn't say that they had the best,
Right.
the most rushing yards or the most total yards or anything like that. But you can see that they had a mindset and an appreciation for the position that they played. So take
Right.
the physical, attributes out of it, the freaks of nature. Like these guys, no matter what their athletic ability was, they wanted to be the cleanest quarterbacks that they could be. And so our drive always is, a lot of people can go out and throw the ball. A
Right.
lot of people can
Exactly.
go out and just power it and be a good athlete, right? I mean, in high school, the best athletes win. So that's just what it is. So
Right.
we wanted, when I started this thing to make sure that we were taking those athletes, taking those guys and making them Division I caliber guys to play quarterback at the next level because that has not been happening. I
Right.
think the stat is actually crazy when you think about how many quarterbacks have, went off and actually played the position at a Division I level from Richmond,
Mm.
Virginia.
Oh
It's
wow.
very low.
Wow.
And so, I think just when I started seeing these kids really listen, really change themselves over time, and again, just developing that appreciation for every single detail and what I was giving them, then I just knew I had something. I knew I had an ability to get kids to listen to what I was saying. And that's the biggest part about coaching, to be honest. You can know anything in the world, but if you don't know how to relay it, if you don't know those, how to switch your language up a little bit to get them to
Right.
understand, and then you can kind of double down on it and then enhance it from there. But you got to initially be able to relate, right? It's all
Yeah.
about compatibility, relatability. It's not really about how much you know. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a good coach, you have to know a ton, but it's
Right.
always about the delivery and what type of coach that you are. So yeah, that's when I felt like I was turning a corner when I just knew like I could give a kid something really really quick, and I had the ability to just get to them in 30 minutes, like to be
Right.
able to change them in about 45 minutes to an hour, and getting them to understand maybe they're not the perfect quarterback when they left, but they got something to grow on. And again, that had nothing to do with the success of the quarterbacks. It
Yeah.
had nothing to do with their stats, nothing to do with any of that. It was just from a development standpoint, I was able to relay the message successfully over and over and over and over
Mm.
again to quarterbacks. And then that's when I saw personally, man, I think I got it. I know exactly what I'm doing. It
Yeah.
doesn't take me, 3 months to get a kid a little bit better.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
going to take me, that one session that you get with me, it might take you a month, 2 months, or never with another person. And so
Right.
that's when
Definitely.
I thought to myself, like, okay, I got something.
This is it. Right. Because even for me, like even, I mean, not knowing much about the quarterback position, obviously, I mean, just from like watching and like playing football, but even seeing like it was a video where it was basically like the shoulder, like the way the shoulder drops or and
Hmm.
things like that, like having like a square shoulder when you're
Yep.
throwing.
Hmm.
Even that small tweak, I was like,
Yep.
oh, okay, I didn't even know that. And there's probably coaches out here that what I'm saying don't even know
Yeah.
that. So or like aren't even paying attention to that. So I mean, just things like that is I mean huge. And so I'm curious when you're, cause I know you actually coach or you train with a kid that actually plays against Trinity. Like,
Hmm.
what is that aspect like? Like, do you see him make a good throw and you're like, oh yeah, I taught
Yeah.
him that, or like how does that work for you when you're
It's
training
funny.
other quarterbacks?
That's happened a lot
Oh okay,
so far.
yeah,
This would being in the prep league and playing against collegiate and some of those guys.
right,
So
right,
um, it's funny because right now, I mean, yesterday I trained Jack Callahan. He's the
hmm
starter over at collegiate.
right,
Obviously, we'll be playing and we're in the same league. And It's interesting. Like I always tell them, like I'm not necessarily. I don't want you to do bad. I don't want y'all
Right.
to win, but I don't want you
Right.
to do bad either. So
Yeah.
they understand it, and it's a respect thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to overstep my boundaries when it
Right.
comes to trying to get too much information from them. You know what I'm saying? Like so you're stuck to
Mm.
base concepts. Oh, this is not really what we do, but this is something in the family of what I'm talking about, or
Okay.
something like
Got
that.
you.
And
Right.
but no, it's always friendly. I always remind them. Trinity is a good team with some good players, so I
Yeah.
always remind them, hey, don't try to get that extra yard right there on second down. Like, go ahead and get down, get out of bounds. Now, did they
Right.
listen to me? No, but
Right.
no, it's friendly, it's cool. Their coaches, all coaches, to be honest with you, have
Yeah.
been very receptive. They like what I'm doing, and that also makes me feel good. Is it's so many coaches that trust
Yeah.
me with their quarterback because it's in
Definitely.
some instances where some guys are like, you're definitely not going to work with that guy, like it's not happening.
Mm.
So
Wow.
I appreciate that, and
Yeah.
yeah, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of touching on that subject while you're at it, what is sort of the dynamic with the off season coach and the regular high school coach? Like, how does that, or even college coaches,
Hmm.
or even the younger guys? I know you coach even younger than that.
Yeah.
So, what's that kind of dynamic like for you?
I think so. At the quarterback, what, football in general, right?
Right.
It's a lot of egos, right?
Right.
It's a
Definitely.
lot of egos. People feel like if they've had any type of success, then you can't really tell me shit. Like that's just what it
Right.
is. And that's as
Right.
a player and as a coach. So I think starting off, when I was 23, 24, 23, trying to start this up,
Hmm.
it was coaches like, well, I mean, yeah, like he was good, but like, what does he know? You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
you think you have to build that equity to be able to like,
Mm.
for them to understand, oh yeah, like he's that dude, or he can really coach my kid, or I saw
Yeah.
the changes. And so I think the dynamic is it's you have to know what you're doing.
Right.
Like you have to know football, right? I think, a lot of trainers walk into this and they do it and they don't know a lot of football. They don't
Mm.
really appreciate the game. They don't really watch football. They don't watch all
Right.
22. They're not really trying to grow in the game. They're just trying to train, right? So
Right.
that's also why I coach, because I want to be in the game. I want to be able to see what the new age kid and
Mm.
how he thinks and how he reacts. Because if I'm still thinking about the old days, then I'm not really
Right.
getting any better, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I didn't think about it
I
like that.
think
Yeah.
coaches just appreciate the fact that I know exactly what I'm doing or what I'm talking about,
Right.
and it's not from a biased place. Like I'm not trying to change what coaches do philosophically. That's on them. All I want
Right.
to do is hand you the cleanest quarterback, and then you can mold them from there, right? So if
Right.
I can enhance his mechanics and enhance his movement in the pocket, if I can
Mm.
enhance where his eyes are going post snap or even pre snap, then I feel like
Right.
I've done my job. And I think now coaches are seeing that kids are able to do that. They're familiar with things
Right.
that, maybe 5 years ago, you were getting so many quarterbacks that you had to mold yourself. And we all
Right.
know that high school coaches, we don't have time.
At the time.
We
Right.
do not have time to do
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, the dynamic is cool. And then the youth coaches, it's all love with them. They
Yeah.
know that, um, sometimes it's too young to start,
Right.
but
Yeah.
for the most part, everybody's been cool for me. I know that experience is different for someone else that
Right.
is trying to navigate these waters and not really having a pulse or connection with anybody. But for me, it's been
Right.
cool.
Definitely. And I mean, I think that's like, basically how you broke it down actually makes even more sense now. It's like you're basically, saving them time, having to break
Mhm.
down different concepts that you can normally
Correct.
do with you. And then, like you said, when they get into that high school season, it's like, okay, cool. All we need to do is just add little tweaks and then we're
Right.
off.
Exactly.
So that makes,
Right.
so really it's like it benefits them way
Hmm.
more to just have them come to you during off season so they don't
Right.
have to, that really makes sense.
Hmm.
So, definitely. Let me ask you. So your roster of quarterbacks that you trained is, second to none. How did you? And maybe this is like maybe we'll put this question behind a paywall or something because this might be like dropping a lot of knowledge. But how did you get those initial like first couple quarterbacks to come in and then sort of build your roster from there of people that you worked with?
So I think one, you can't make the mistake of like you if you want to do this, like you have to understand that is your love for the game, but it's also at some point, right? People are starting to pay for your time, so it's a
Right.
business, right?
Right.
And so when you start marketing and things like that, um, that's that is your tool to get to kids. Like that
Right.
is what you do, right? So you have to make sure that your stuff looks different so people can be
Right.
like, right? So I'll throw Brendan Clark in there. He was a kid that when I first started and I got back to Richmond and I said I wanted to do this, I really didn't even know who Brendan was. I didn't have a pulse really. I was on Huddle. I was just, looking through, trying to see who the quarterbacks were in the area.
Right.
You kind of send a friendly DM through
Right.
Instagram and just seeing if they were working with anybody. And, that worked early on. But again, a kid like Brendan, he's already, when I had met him, a 3-star prospect, already committed to a Power 5 school. It was more of, them trying to figure out, well, I'm already good. Like, I'm straight. I'm
Right.
arguably one of the best quarterbacks that's came out of this city at this point. And so why do I need to go to a quarterback trainer? What is he like?
Right.
What does he know? And I think that's, has always been my thing of, no matter who you get, no matter where they are in their career, there's always things to get better at. And I took the approach of not trying to be the cool guy or not trying to be the cool coach, but being the real coach, right? Being
Right.
that coach
Right.
that, hey, I know this is straight right now, but like you got to understand that you won't be able to get away with that. Like,
Right.
I know you can make that throw, but can you make that 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 times? Like, yeah, you're wowing people with your ability, but where's your consistency? And
Right.
so I think when I, started training these guys and they started really feeling like, first off, when you come out, it's like, man, like, am I really not that good? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what they start thinking, right? So that's what Brendan was kind of thinking after the first couple sessions. Like, I mean, I'm good, but like, damn, like,
Right.
what am I missing right now? And
Yeah.
so, as we worked and worked and worked and worked, it's also awesome to have kids that eventually start to trust you, right? And they start to believe in you and what you're giving them. And I think that's kind of what jump started our relationship with, which then kind of naturally, organically kind of got the trust of a lot of coaches and a lot of parents and a lot of, people in the Richmond area because, he would eventually go on and compete in the Elite 11 competition. And he was a kid that was not really on the camp circuit, so no one really knew him.
Right.
And for him to be able to do that and do that at a high level, working on things that he never really worked on during the season, so it had to have been, all right, well, he learned this place. And so when that started happening and he
Okay.
got all of those offers right after Elite 11 and, then, you change your caps to from U of R and Wake Forest and this to like Clemson, Notre Dame, and,
Right.
in a
Everybody was
matter
going.
of months,
Yeah.
And then when that happened, it was just like, well, we think, Malcolm Bell has the ability to make anyone better. Like not just, people will look at it and say Malcolm's career was jump started by Brendan. Like, his parents, wanted, so he just kind of just went over and kind of benefited off of his fame or his, his ratings and his publicity and all of that stuff. And
Right.
I think I quickly proved and showed a lot of people that Brendan benefited from this. He benefited
Definitely.
from the training. He got better. He broke through a ceiling. Like that
Right.
was his ceiling initially, and he was like, boom, like goes right through it. And so I think that was just that one kind of thing where people are like, well, I wonder what was kind of the big change
And what's
or
going
how did
on
he
over
really
there?
get started?
Yeah.
But yeah, and so that's pretty much it.
And so when you said like you didn't want to be the cool coach, like break that down. Like what does that mean? Because I mean, there's coaches out here and
Mhm.
parents that are trusting the cool coach. Like what
Right.
what does that mean exactly?
So I would say the cool coaches, like all my guys, you can talk to anybody about me. I'm the silliest guy. it's funny because we'll be in practice and I'm like joking and stuff,
Oh yeah, I've
and
seen. Yeah, I've seen some
Coach
sessions.
Mickens will be like, "Be quiet, coaches
Yeah,
included," and then I'll be
yeah,
like, "Oh, my bad." So no,
yeah, yeah.
I'm that cool guy, but I
Got you,
know
got you.
I'm about business. No, I tell
Right.
them all the time, like when we get in between the white lines, like I don't care who you are.
Right.
Like my job is to make you better. So I'm not starstruck. I don't care how many
Mm.
offers you have. I
Yeah.
don't care what coach told you this or whatever. It really doesn't matter. Like it's
Right.
my job is to get you better, right? So if I see something that you're doing that's not right and maybe you keep getting away with, I'm not going to be the one to let you get away with it just so you
Mm.
continue to train with me.
Right.
So you can be a good guy and you come to me, I'm going to have something for you. I'm going to make sure you can get better in some way.
Right.
And I think, right now it's um, coaches right now think that them being the cool guy
Yep.
because they see it. Like I do have a really good relationship with a lot of my quarterbacks. And so they get this kind of illusion that I'm a cool coach. Like I'm just a cool guy and I just
Yeah.
got guys, whatever, whatever. Like that's not the case.
Right.
And so you got guys that are just like thinking that they can just, be the buddy, be the pal, be the
Mm. Yep.
friend,
Yep.
and guys are going to start training with you. Guys are going to start doing this, and they don't really respect that. I've been around a
Mm.
lot of elite athletes.
Mm.
They want real guys. They want guys that are able to push them, to make them better, to always keep them on their toes, right?
Right.
Like they don't. When you get to a certain point, like you don't want to hear that you're good. You don't want to hear
Yeah.
that anymore.
Mm.
You want to see how you can get better. I already know I'm good. So
Mm.
I'm that person. Like I'm that person
Yeah.
with anybody. It could be a kid that right when I start with them, they can't really throw about 10 to 15 yards. Like, but the standard is already set. So you have no choice but to get better. If you're out here, we're gonna get better. And so again, that's my job. And I think that
Right.
gets lost in social media
Yep.
because it's more about who you're training
Right.
and how many views did you get on this reel or all of those things, which that's cool and they do matter.
Yeah.
Like it's
Right.
marketing, it matters, but at the same time, your philosophy, your development program should not be based on that outside stuff, right? It's
Right.
got to be internal. It's got to be what you're giving these kids that no one can see, that only you and that
Mm.
kid understand. Like
Definitely.
it's just it's different. It's different for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, just going along that subject of kind of like what you were talking about, what are some things that parents? Because I mean, let's talk about parents right now, because I know we're talking about business and things like
Hmm.
that for people that are looking to start their own business. But with parents, like again, this is a business, so it's like you got to know how to navigate it sometimes because you just don't know.
Yeah.
What are some things parents should be looking for in a coach that can be good things, and then what are some things that they can look at and like, oh, we might need to change directions because of this?
I would say, just in this quarterback space or in the training space right now,
Right.
it's a lot of guys.
Right.
It's a lot of guys
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
feel like they have the ability to do this outside of being a high school coach or a youth coach and all of
Right.
that stuff. And I guess a message to the parents will just be, do your research one,
Mm.
and make sure you understand the entire market.
Right.
Don't just think, all right, well, because quarterback development to me is something that it is very vital. Like you can get with somebody and you will never be able to right or wrong. Like you will get
Hmm.
with someone and it's just that problem that you develop that you just can't get back because you developed the muscle memory for it when you were a young kid, and it just
Yeah.
becomes harder, to fix it. And so I would just say, just understand the entire market,
Mm.
and don't necessarily look at the dollar signs to start.
Hmm.
Just try to figure out who's the best guy, right? And why is that person the best guy, right? Because everybody can say they're number one. I've seen a lot of
Right.
Instagram with
Yeah.
guys in Virginia that say that they're
Yeah.
the number one dude. Like, and that's
Right.
cool. That's fine. You're supposed to push yourself. Do that. But
Right.
people can't listen to that. That is like you have to dig deeper than that, right? Because
Hmm.
everybody's going to market themselves the right way. And
Right.
so I think, a couple of red flags to me would be, the guy that is, not really charging what the market value is
Mm.
for the position. And I
Mm.
understand where, you're trying to help out the youth, you're trying to do all of that stuff. I feel like,
Yeah.
my prices are a little bit, higher for
Right.
Virginia or for Richmond. And I think kids will get more in that 1 hour with me than
Right.
you would get in the span of months with other people. I'm super confident in that. And I just developed the system for it. And so, it really is just, don't, it's just hard to tell somebody, don't go to this person, don't go to that
Right.
person.
Right.
But I just want everybody to do kind of just their homework on, the work that has been put in to undefeated. Like
Yeah.
we are not just a workout. Like it's not the workout. Like you'll ask a whole lot of guys, like in the wintertime, we barely sweat. Like in the
Right.
wintertime, like it's cold, and if you do a lot, you're gonna sweat. We barely, springtime, we're not drenched in sweat. The guys don't leave the field dead tired.
Right.
Just small things like that. You gotta make sure that you really, really, really dig deep. And I guess lastly, just the way that things are done. Even go if you want to start thinking about a quarterback trainer, then go to every single one. Pay
Yeah.
that initial whatever it is to go to the best person,
Right.
and go to the other person that's cheaper.
Yeah. That's
And
smart.
then just figure out exactly who you want to invest with, because $25
That's smart.
for nothing is a lot. $45 for nothing is a lot, right?
Yeah.
$65 for nothing is a lot of money. Like it
Yeah.
is. So regardless, you're spending money, right? You might want to, all right, well, I think let's just do this guy twice a month. I know he's a lot of money, but I know you're going to get a little bit more right here, right? It's going to last a little bit longer.
Right.
And, just fill out the entire market first.
That's smart. Yeah.
I do believe, I'm confident. I feel like, I give my guys a lot, and I don't want to say, oh, I'm the best dude, but my guys can tell you that they are prepared for everything.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, just making sure that you just navigate the entire market. Don't shy away from contacting the coach just because you see, $100. Don't
Right.
just contact me. I'm always willing to help out as well. Like I love the youth. I love doing this stuff. If there's a kid that's got some ability, we can make it happen. But don't shy away from it and then have your kid learn bad habits and things like that. And then
Yeah.
at the end, I get it all the time. The kid's now a junior or a rising senior that's never trained with me before,
And you're like,
but
fix
now
me.
it's like, hey, like, can I get some
Yeah.
training? And I'm like, man, your boy was with me like 2, 3 years ago. You could have came,
Yeah.
So I would say, the guys that don't train with me, like, don't let anybody tell you not to come over here, right? Because
Right.
I don't do that to other people. I don't tell anybody don't go anywhere.
Right.
I'm just saying they know, and I'm confident that I'm the guy that gets it done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it though. Like just making sure that those parents just really thoroughly find all of the guys in the market, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really powerful because, like you said, it's like people will look to a cheaper option and just look at the number and like, okay, let's just go to this guy. But then
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, I mean, literally, how you said it is like if you're spending $25, whatever, $15, whatever, that's fine. But then, like you said, it's going to take you a month to learn things that with you and what you're
Hmm.
doing, you could learn in a session. It's like,
Hmm.
hey, you don't need all these extra steps.
Right.
They're just throwing
Hmm.
it in there just to fill up sessions for you,
Right.
basically. And I mean, so that definitely makes sense because I mean, the cheaper you are, the more sessions you have to add on to really make money. So
Hmm.
then they're just stretching out, and
Yep.
like you said, come to you junior year, like, hey, come fix me, and it's like,
Yeah.
So
I've gotten it a lot now. So,
yeah,
I just starting the process. Like you start your process early.
yeah.
It's never really too early. But just make sure you navigate it.
Definitely. And so, really going into just like what you were kind of mentioning on Instagram, right? You mentioned how you notice there's, coaches out here, other trainers out here
Hmm.
that are using your drills or things that you teach and trying to mimic it. Like, explain that to me. Like,
Hmm.
what did you see? What are you kind of feeling?
Yeah.
How did that all come about to where you kind of felt that way?
Yeah. So, I'll throw this out there. I don't want anybody to think that, my drills are like some of the drills are like some
Yeah.
things that only I know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I just know the right people. I understand, and I've collabed with.
Mm.
I've been around the right people to know the right things. Put it that
Right.
way. And a lot of people haven't been in those rooms and in those conversations.
Right.
So I know it firsthand that I do probably have more information. But I don't know. It's just it's weird.
Is it
It's
just
just
like is it just like a certain like a drill that you can tell is like okay I know for a fact that one's mine, or is it
yes.
like
I think it's
certain
also the
things?
timing,
Okay.
right? It's the timing of when things happen, and I am so specific on the look of anything undefeated.
Right.
So I
Definitely.
really like. I don't just post a post.
Right.
I'm not like everything. Some meaning behind it. I'm trying to get to something when I
Right.
post things, and so when you're doing stuff, and you start looking at numbers, and you're like, man, there's a lot of people watching this. There's a lot of people doing that. For me, I'm just posting. Like that
Right.
is my philosophy. That is how I do things on a daily basis without a camera, and that's what I'm posting.
Right.
For other people, I feel like you're watching things to then post to be popular to then have people train with you.
Right.
That is the difference. Where it's like I'm not at a point where I'm trying to impress anybody to come train with me.
Right.
I'm
It's just
just
what you
doing
do.
my
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
And I think when people see that, they see the effects of what I'm doing and how it's getting to people, and people understanding, like he looks like he knows what he's talking about. Like he knows what he's
Like
talking about. He wouldn't be doing this stuff.
right.
And when you see other people then like sporadically like starting
Mm.
to do those things out of
Right.
nowhere, when you feel like from what you've seen that's not really part of their
Right. Right.
philosophy,
Right. Right.
then
Got
that
you.
means it's
Makes
like,
sense.
yo, well, I don't care if you do it, man. Like it doesn't matter to me. If a quarterback goes to you, I just, at this point in time,
Right.
I mean, I'm not really like fighting over quarterbacks. Like if you
Right.
have them, you got them,
Right.
and just make sure that you are make sure that they are getting the right stuff. Like
Yeah.
don't have them doing something that you saw on a reel, but you have not one coaching point for.
Right.
So
Mm.
you're constantly looking for the look that you saw on a video,
Yep.
and not understanding that there are points, right? Key points that get you to that position or get you
Mm.
to that point, or
Right.
what I'm trying to accomplish. And so, it's our
That makes
sessions are
sense. Yeah.
super slow, right? Our sessions are just calculated in what we do and what I'm trying to attack with each kid.
Right.
And I feel like that's probably not the same thing happening. It's like it's more of we're going to try this today because I saw this. And it's not,
Right.
man, we've been
Right.
doing this for 8 months.
To work
We're
up
just
to
going to
that drill.
enhance
Right.
how cool this drill might look. Like
Right.
we're going to add a little bit of because we've been doing this for 8 months,
Yeah.
and I know and you have an understanding of what we're doing. So now I
Right.
need you to do it a little bit faster, or I need you,
That makes
it's little
sense.
things
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, that's when you start looking at it and you look at the landscape, and you're like, man, people really weren't doing this.
Right.
Like people weren't taking time out. And I would say it like for me, when I started off, I was so conscious of my time and so worried about impressing people and so worried about parents coming back
Right.
that the drills were like, yeah, they're good. They're good drills, but like you do so much, it's no way anybody walks away with anything. Like
Right.
it's no way they walk away with one thing that they got better at. And so I tell a lot of people, I laughed about it the other day. I was like, man, like I'm thinking about myself like, 4 years ago, I would have had a stroke out here in this heat because I'd have been making them do this, moving myself around. I
Yeah.
got cones placed all over the field. I'm doing this,
Right.
I'm
Right.
doing that.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, I'm quick. Like I know what they need to do. I need everyone to be able to do our non-negotiables. I need everybody to understand the standard, and then we go from there. So
Right.
now I got, youth kids that are getting better. Like we've been going for the past 6 or 7 weeks. All of those kids have gotten better. Like all of them mechanically. Like we have not done all of the extra cone drills or anything like that. I'm trying to build a foundation. Like,
Yeah.
and I think, when you're a trainer starting out, you're like this. you're like, how am I going to keep clients? How am I going to get clients? You
Right.
know,
Yeah, definitely.
and you don't really sit down and say, this is really how you develop them though. Like, what am I trying to do? Am I running quarterback workouts or am I
Mm,
developing
mm,
quarterbacks? They're two totally
right.
different things, right? And
Mm,
and those happen in my program as well. When I bring the college guys out, we got about 30 minutes of, real detailed work. And then I'm letting those dudes take drops, right? Think of different concepts, make some game like movements, and have fun and throw the ball. That is a quarterback workout.
right.
That is me leading a workout. But those things, training and working out, aren't the same thing. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people get
definitely.
like, kind of, this is how you get quarterback coaches into this space because they feel like that is quarterback coaching. It's not.
Right.
It's training. It takes a special eye. So it doesn't matter if you played the position or not, right? Some of your best trainers were not high level quarterbacks. They probably didn't even play quarterback in college, right? But they're guys that understand. They watch a lot of football. They get it, right?
Right.
So not everybody that played can do it.
Mm,
You can be a quarterback coach. Yes, you can share your experiences. You have a lot to offer for sure. You can mold a kid by just being a quarterback coach. And I strongly believe that, right? You're gonna have your set of quarterbacks and those guys you're gonna make better. And I respect it. I'm a quarterback coach. I'm an
right.
offensive coordinator. I do that
Yeah.
as well. So I have an appreciation for it. But you can't put those together
Mm,
because they're just if you can be a quarterback coach and it's okay. You don't have to be a trainer. You don't have to be that guy that you don't have to be known as the guy that can make those adjustments to see exactly what a kid needs to do and be able to fix it right then and there. Or if you don't have that ability or that gift, right, then you just don't have it. And it's not even being like an asshole. It's just, you
yeah.
know, I believe that I have a gift, like an eye, to be able to pinpoint some things. And I feel like, it just it's because I've been able to just slow down in my trainings and just really start to hone in on development.
Right.
Not how many kids, not, how flashy that video was on Instagram, not, all of this stuff. It's just what we do on a daily basis. Can I get this kid cleaner, more consistent, more efficient? Can I increase his spin rate? All of those little things. Like, can I make him a better quarterback than he was when he stepped on the field an hour ago? That's it.
Right.
That's my only goal. I do not care. So, yeah, we got media, we got cameras, we got
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But the
We got
job
it.
is the job,
Right.
right? If you can't do the
Yeah.
job, even at the highest level, it's cameras, it's media, it's this, it's that. But you got to do a job, right? You
Right.
can benefit from all of this stuff if you do your job. So, I mean, that's just the biggest thing. Those guys know it's cameras around and stuff like that. That's just what it is. But we come to work. We want to get better.
Right.
From Christian Martin over at Highland Springs, like his attention to detail when we're in one-on-one sessions is ridiculous. And it's
Mm,
just you having that ability to connect with and have those high level athletes, high level prospects really trust and understand that when I go to Malcolm, this is me investing in my future and
right.
understanding that he will give me something that I can take to that next level and be successful with. Or he will give me something that maybe I missed out on in my sophomore year. And now in
Yeah.
my junior year, I'm going to go ahead and handle business because
Mm,
I've done it all off season. We've worked on
right.
these small things all off season to be able to go out first game, first scrimmage, first practice and show, the changes that have been made, my growth in the past 8 months or 6 to 8 months. Like
Right.
that's really the goal.
No, definitely. And I mean, I think it's really and like the way you broke it down was just perfect. Like the fact of not just going out there and just sweating, just to
Hmm.
sweat. It's like you can have good sessions, you can have good quality
Hmm.
like programs without just let's just
Yeah.
throw a bunch of cones like you said, throw a bunch
Yeah.
of cones around, get you sweating, get you
Hmm.
feeling like crap afterwards, not wanting to come back the next day. It's like you can do all kinds of different
Hmm.
things, and I think there are coaches that need to hear that and understand that. Like, okay, maybe after hearing this, they're like, okay, I need to step back a little bit and really break down my sessions and see if we're
Right.
using our time wisely.
Exactly. Right.
Definitely
That's
makes
that's the
sense.
goal. That's
Definitely makes
definitely the
sense.
goal. Is just getting coaches in the space. Like, you know, it's you just have to show that you're trying to elevate your program and elevate
Right.
players. Like, if I wasn't trying to elevate undefeated, I don't think I would have elevated in the caliber of athletes that I'm able to train.
Right.
Right. So it's just like, in order to get the best, you have to put forth the best.
Right.
And that's kind of what I've been doing, media wise, me being
Yeah.
a good person to everybody,
Definitely.
always being open for a quick call with our parents, or a kid can text me and, I can make something happen for them. Like, it's all together.
Definitely. And let me ask you. So, what do you kind of feel about kids kind of going to different coaches and things like that? Because I've seen just talking to Coach T and stuff. He kind of broke down sometimes like kids will kind of
Yeah.
jump around to different trainers and things like that. Like how what's your take on that situation? Like athletes going to one coach, coming to another, and that all that kind of thing.
Um, for the same position,
Yeah.
yeah. I think personally, it gets dicey for me, and I guess, um, you're always collabing with the quarterback coach of the school,
Right.
or like, I just feel like, where are you? It comes a point where you don't need two voices at one thing like that.
Right.
Like, you
Okay.
need multiple voices to be successful. Yes, you do.
Right.
You need multiple voices. That doesn't mean you need two people with two different philosophies, like,
Right.
trying to collide. Like, you can't do that to a quarterback, especially
Right.
not a young one. So for me, it's not even being a selfish thing, but I feel like, if you invested, if you gave me, if you paid for a session, I feel like we got to keep going. Like, it's just what
Yeah.
it is. Like, I feel like you trusted me enough to pay for a session, so let's keep working. But I mean, it's tough. I mean, you can't really tell people what to do, but
Right.
I think, for me, if you do go to someone else and that is kind of, you're going back and forth, then you can kind of just stay with them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want any messages, I don't want any different communication, different messages. Those just don't mix, especially when a kid is trying to get to a certain point.
Right.
Maybe they're not there yet, right? So you're kind of thinking, all right, two voices are going this way, but really they're just colliding and going back down. So you just got to be smart about, it's okay to tell the coach that's always been, by his side since he was a young kid, like, Coach, all
Yeah.
right, I appreciate everything that you've done,
Yeah.
and, we're going to go send them here. Now it's, and it works out that way. And coaches do understand that,
Yeah.
for sure. They understand it. Like, we want to be able to go do this for them, and that's what it is. But some coaches will be fine with players jumping back and forth just so they can grab a video of them or do this or do that. But for me, it's just, if you're with it, you're with it. And again, you could be stuck in some situations where you have to train with that other person, and I get it,
Yeah.
and I'll try to work with that. But it just shouldn't be a thing where we're just going to two people. One guy I
Right.
might just have to go to, and then the other guy, like, I'm gonna use him for clout. Like, I'm gonna
Right.
go ahead
Yeah.
and get on his page, or go ahead and I've gotten that a couple times, like I said, in the past 6 months, where guys are realizing, dang, like, I've been with this guy for a while, but I'm seeing that Coach Malcolm is kind of, his guys have offers. Really has nothing to
Right.
do with me, to be honest. Those guys are just going and making things happen, and listening to what I've been giving them, and they're
Right.
going out and doing it, right? So just because you come train with us for a session or two, you might got a picture, you might got a video, or whatever. That doesn't
Right.
mean that is. You can't come out and just clout chase. Like, I see that from a
Right.
mile
Oh
away.
yeah. Right. Right.
And kids are funny. Like,
Yeah.
everything is social media driven.
Oh
So
yeah.
I can see it from a mile away. What you're trying to do is, are you really trying to get better? If so, I can work with you.
Right.
But if the first thing you got is, I'm rising senior, I really don't have any offers yet. And once you say that first, then that means you're not really focused on getting better.
Right.
You're only willing to do this because you feel like you're missing out on something.
Definitely.
And I don't want any guys like that in my program, because then my words don't mean anything. And what I'm saying doesn't mean anything. And
Right.
what I'm telling them to do and what they need to work on, they don't really care about that, because somebody else is telling them how good they are. So you need to go and contact Malcolm to kind of make this connection here or there. And, I'm just not really interested in that, and that's not how I run my business. That's not how I've
Yeah.
gotten to where I am right now. It's creating that standard and having people in the program for years. I'm not interested in one offs or two offs, or
Mm.
I'm interested in guys that want and care about getting better and they want to do it with undefeated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's really important. So, I guess your advice to like a new coach, like let's say a kid just coming out of college decides he wants to start his own training
Mhm.
business, you would tell him sort of just have a high standard for yourself and just hold that standard and not go towards that.
Mhm.
I guess bottom. I don't want to say bottom of the barrel because that sounds
Mhm.
bad, but like
Mhm.
that lower end kind of
Yeah. I mean,
deal. Is that
yes.
what you would say?
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta everything. I was raised to, to do when I have something or when I
Yeah.
have to do something, I do it to the best of my ability.
Right.
I've just been raised like that. That's just how I do it. So no matter when I put my name on something, it's
Right.
going to be official. It's not going to be a
Yes,
scam.
sir.
It's not going to be a money grab. It's not going to be, some broken promises here and there. Like, when I put my name on it, I want people to know. And I think that's just what's been so good about Undefeated is, whether you say undefeated quarterback training or Coach Malcolm or Malcolm Bell, like,
Right. They're all
man,
the
like that
same.
dude does things good over there. And that's just what
Right.
I want for everybody. College coaches hit me up and say, "Man, you're doing some really good things there." Like,
Mm.
all of that stuff. And that when you graduate and you want to come into training, you want to do that stuff, you just have to understand your market. One, you have to understand what you're going up against, right? You got to understand that you got to understand your worth, right? You
Yeah.
have to know if I put in the time, if I did this, if I did that, I deserve this.
Right.
And I think right now, what you're getting is a lot of guys jumping into it and
Yep.
seeing what I'm doing or seeing what, the Quincy Averys are doing in Atlanta or seeing what Will Hewlett is doing down in Florida, Denny in Florida, Danny over in California, right? And
Right.
you're seeing what they're doing and you're like, you tell me I can put kids on the field and
Yeah.
I can make this, I can do that. Bet
Yep.
I'm gonna go. Like, if you haven't
Yep.
done your homework first, if you haven't really committed to developing this position, not just working them out, developing, making them better, then again, you have to know your worth. You can't charge this amount when you haven't done your work first. And I think a lot of people that are coming into this, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for
Right.
the money first. Like when I got into it, I wasn't charging really nothing. Like it was because I wanted to help. I knew I was good at it, but I was also
Right.
still learning. And now I've
Right.
gotten to the point where because I'm always been a lifelong learner, really trying to understand the things that I didn't get when I was playing college football and all of that,
Right.
and being able to relay it and give it to athletes now. So yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And so I guess a quick point to athletes. And I mean these quarterbacks going to different camps.
Hmm.
What should they look for in their camps to decide which ones to go to, which ones are those money grabs like you're talking about? Because we see camps pop up all the time.
Right.
It seems like every summer and stuff, there's always some new camp series coming out, things like that.
Right.
What should parents be looking out for as far as the camp circuit? What should they be doing when they go to certain camps?
Hmm.
Like, what's that whole process look like? And what are you telling your quarterbacks?
Yeah. So one, I mean, just blessed to have so many good parents and good players in the undefeated program that actually trust some of the things that I would suggest. And so they always ask, it's stuff that, it comes across like it's guys still in Virginia. They'll, try to DM and say, hey, come to this camp and hey, do this and do that. And guys that they're not on a national level. They haven't really, done really much, but they're running a camp and they're promising this and promising that. I would just
Right.
say, again, all of it. Really do your research. Really look at the names that are on it. See who they are working with. See,
Right.
just see all of that stuff. And don't look at it and say, oh, he's training so and so. If that was like one time, two times. Like I say it a ton. There's a lot of guys that I've trained that was only like two, three times. Like I have trained them, but they aren't necessarily my guy.
Right.
So it's just looking out for those things and understanding that in the camp settings, that is how people grab your information for good. They grab your information for a career where they have access to you, and things like that. So I think just if it's not a nationally known camp
Hmm.
where you have to, like, if you have to pay for what you were invited for, then that means there's a red flag somewhere. Right. And so it's a couple of camps where you get invited, you have to pay for that are pretty decent camps. And the guys that are ESPN, the Rivals, the Prep Red Zone guys,
Right.
24/7 Sports, O&E, like all O&3, all of those guys, like,
Right.
I get that. I understand it. Like, they run a legit business, but people are being seen. But if you're talking, the guy that just made something up and, is at kind of the local regional level.
Right.
And it seems like, you don't train with this guy, or you haven't even talked to this person before, but you got an invite. How? They're using a database and they're just trying to see what they can get. Right. So, for me, if I'm running a camp, I send it to my email list and I always lock it down till I'm doing a camp on Sunday. Right. It's a little mini camp. I didn't market a lot for it. And I only wanted 10 quarterbacks there. That's it. It's not really about having a million kids there, because I just want my guys to get better. That's it. So you understand, like, we're going to take it slow. We're going to do this. It's not really a whole bunch of flash in it. It's just we're getting work done for an entire day. But, just making sure, again, you just have to do your research. I think people they get so caught up in, oh, somebody really likes my son. Right. And they forget about
mailers
everything
and stuff
else.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They forget about everything else. Like, the recruiting coordinator sending you a graphic to say, come to camp. I mean, dude, if you're in that database, they're going to send that to you. Like, that doesn't mean anything. It's so many people that get mad when they go to camp off of, oh, I got an invite to camp, but no one talked to me. If you are playing a position and you have not talked to the OC, the quarterback coach, and your recruiting coordinator, then they're probably not as interested as you think. And that's just what it is. Like, I've seen it a lot of times. I've had kids involved in it where, it might be a 7-on-7 camp going on, or it might be this camp going on, but we're in the indoor facility doing a private workout with the the OC and the QB coach and the receiver coach and so it's like, you can kind of tell, like, if you don't really have the relationships, if you haven't talked to these people, if you haven't texted with these people, then you can't really get mad that your kid's not being seen. Right? I think you just have to kind of throw away the thought that you can show up at a camp now, and unless if you're popping a 4.2, then eyes are on you. But if you're just that average kid, and you might be good, but if you're just the kid and they haven't really contacted you, that means they're not really interested. And because, at this point, they're starting that process so early. I got one kid that is a 2026, hasn't even touched high school yet, has offer from Buffalo. I got another kid that will play at Manchester that, the way he's looking right now, he'll be in that category as well. But I say that to say they're being evaluated and offered right now. So if you're a 2023, a 2024, and you haven't talked to these coaches, you're going for nothing. And that's where you start to figure out as a parent as well, all right, where does my kid really stack up? Like, is he this Power 5 kid that we want him to be, or is he an FCS kid? There's nothing wrong with it. It's Division I football. So, I think people get caught up in the big dreams of what they want for their kid, and they forget that, this is a business. This process starts super early. If you're late to the party, you could be late or behind your entire career because people are already committing. I mean, people are freshmen, sophomores committing to schools, so everything just starts faster. So if you're wondering, all right, like, hopefully I catch the coach's eye, like, that's a rare chance it's going to happen if you haven't contacted or talked to anyone prior to that camp. That's, that's basically the advice that I have for people going to these college camps. Like, go to where you want it. I've seen a lot of guys miss out. They miss out on the FCS level, the Group of 5 level, because they're camping at Power 5 the whole summer.
Yeah. Yep.
For what?
I've seen that a lot. Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
What?
Yeah.
You go and you say, thank you, coach, for, a good camp, but I only got 5 reps and no one was looking at me. I don't think it's worth it. So I think people just have to, when they're really going through their summer plans and trying to map out, start with the people that are interested in you first. Now, understand if you don't have any interest, then you got to kind of make it shape. I would honestly train more. I would train more, I would enhance my film, and when that happens, I will go on the camp circuit. I feel like a lot of kids also get pushed into the camp circuit too early when they haven't mastered their craft or even understand their craft, and they don't really have the experience. And so they go out and they kind of, as a freshman, if they're offering 15 freshmen and you're one of those kids that didn't really do well, you're behind the eight ball right now.
Right.
So why rush to go to camp? Try to
Right.
become your best self first. Go find that trainer. Go enhance your game. Maybe it's your foot speed, talking about different positions here. Maybe it's your kick step. Maybe it's all of these things. Don't just hop and go to a camp. That's
Right.
what trainers are for. And that's why it's so important for these trainers to understand development, because they're going to go work out at a camp. They're not going to be developed at one. So
Right.
we have
Yeah.
to do a good job of making sure that they are doing the things that coaches want to see, understanding just the small details to make them stand out. If you don't have that, then you won't be able to do it at a camp. So I think, for the
Makes
guys that are
sense.
just trying to throw their kid in the camp for the summer, you can hurt your kid, especially at the quarterback position early, if you're not doing it the right way when they see you, right? That's their first, I got a couple guys where, the reason why they're getting recruited right now is because that first time that coach saw him, they knew, man, this kid is going to be something. He looks very detailed for his age, right? So you have like the
Right.
25s and 26s. Yeah, they can't throw the ball. Some of them can't throw the ball 65 yards in the air,
Right.
or 30 yards on the line. But they feel like through time, they're going to get older. They're going to get stronger, right? All of those things are going to kind of, go together, and then they're going to become this really good prospect, this really good, just really good player. So,
Definitely.
it's all about projection. And if you start the process early and you get with the right people and you're prepared for that moment at a young age, if they ask you, oh man, that kid looks good. What grade are you in? I'm a freshman. All right, hey, go write his name down. Like that's what
Got you.
happens,
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Got it. Definitely. And I guess really just wrapping up talking about athletes and everything. What's your take on the current situation in college sports right now with the transfer portal? I mean, especially with the quarterbacks right now. I mean, this year coming up for at least, as we know of the Division I level
Right.
with, I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like every team's switching up quarterbacks and everything
Yeah.
like that. What's your take on that? What's your philosophy on that for your athletes? What are you telling them? It's like when you get to college, here's what's happening.
Right.
What's your opinion on that?
I've gone back and forth on this. I'll speak on just overall, just kind of the athlete marketing side first.
Yeah.
I think it's super important now more than ever to make our kids aware of their power on social media and kind of understanding that that is how people perceive you right now. Like it's through social media. That's first contact for a lot of people right now. So just enhancing that, giving them the tools to understand that that is a big deal right now, especially going into college sports, right? I mean, at this point you had the ability to make money way earlier than before, big bucks way earlier before. And if you're not taking steps to enhance your personal brand, to enhance everyone's perception of you, then it doesn't make you marketable when you reach those spots. So I would say just that to start off, because, you go to college and, the reason why all these kids, it's a hype train. Like it's literally a hype train. Like they're everywhere, right? And it's their branding, right? The kids look cool. All the kids think they look cool. So those are the guys. Those are top dudes. And now you see kids that are still in high school getting these $8 million deals and all of that stuff. And so just with the NIL thing, I think it's awesome. I think, it's really cool, and kids get the opportunity to, make money for all the hard work that they put in. And I think it should have always been, but, I think it's a cool thing. Now, it puts a lot of, it makes the transfer portal crazy.
Right.
I think that's kind of the negative to it. It's making it this kind of, arms race. Like I have the most money here and, I'm going to go get this kid. And so right now you're at the quarterback position in general, you might not be stuck having to just pay your starting quarterback. You might have to pay the backup because if the backup isn't playing, you need a reason for him to stay.
Yeah.
Right now, because they can jump ship and go somewhere else and play immediately. So,
Yeah.
I think the transfer portal will need some type of rules. I guess, some dead periods, just like they do high school recruiting. I think that could work. I think, that'll help out a lot with just guys making these just rash decisions and just going.
Right.
It's the game is changing, right? And I'd be that old school guy to say that, oh man, this is not good. Like, man, the game is changing. There's so much money in the sport right now. I know all of these older guys are making this money, right?
Yeah.
So I think these guys now, if it's so much money in the sport, let everybody get paid.
Right.
And now it's going to be some guys where people see that they're making money that they don't deserve now. Or, how is he making this and he only played a year? How is he doing this and he hasn't even played yet? But that's the nature of the business. That's just what it is, a business. Right. And people just have to get with it and understand that college football, the sport in general, with social media and all of these different avenues is just becoming something bigger than it's ever been.
Right.
And so, you learn to appreciate it. I mean, it's a cool thing. It's something for now these young high school players to look forward to. Yep. It's some of these guys, their grind right now is to, man, like, just your grind when you get to college, man, I got to get to the league. I got to change my life for my family now. Like, now you're putting that drive in them a little bit earlier to know that they control, man, like, if I do this the right way, if I stay out of trouble, if I, stay on the right path and keep, all the guys around me, the right guys around me, then, I can change my family's life at 18 years old.
Right.
And it's not, I can start helping my mom out at 18 where I don't have to wait and I have to get through my whole entire college career to make to potentially make some money, some real money.
Right.
So I think in that case, it's awesome. It's awesome. But again, stipulations, whether you want to put on them or not, people are going to find a way to get the best players some money. Like, it's always been happening. So if the floodgates are open now, and that's just what it is. But I do feel like that is affecting the transfer portal a lot. Yeah. Just with guys, just, if I'm going to be a backup, like, I got to get paid too now.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. Or, if they're not starting because of the money, they want to go start.
Right.
They know if I'm the face of a program, then there's some dollar signs. It might not be Alabama money, but it's going to be some type of collective that is going to look out for the premier player on the team, which is more times than not the quarterback. And so that's what you're looking for. Guys that are trying to, they're trying to start, they're trying to play, they care about the game, but they know what comes with that too now. Like, I just got to find the right place for me. So, that's how it's always been, but now it's money behind it.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really do feel like, the NIL, opportunities for these kids. I mean, everything you said is exactly how I feel on it. Yeah. And then with the transfer portal, I mean, it is going to make it more complicated with, having money involved and things like that. Mm-hmm. What do you say, or what is your take, I guess, on, I'm trying to say really like when a quarterback should know I need to go ahead and transfer, or because I'm sure you probably get some kids asking you for advice and kind of getting your opinion on it. Like because with quarterbacks, there's only one quarterback, right? So it's like, when do you decide? What is there a year? Is there a situation? Like, when do you decide to leave and not make a rash decision, or just go ahead and stay? Like, what does that look like to you?
I mean, I guess the situation is super important for me. Right. And, I've had a couple of quarterbacks that have transferred and have made those decisions. I just think it's a feel. It's a feel. Okay. It's a feel. It happens at different points in guys' careers, so I can't really say a year, but it's a feel where you're not, quarterback in general, like, they understand that those positions along with receivers and guys, like, they're divas, like they're just, it is what it is. So when your position coach is not necessarily, you're not his guy, you kind of feel it because of the way you're treated in general.
Okay,
so you kind of will know, like, man, coach ain't, he probably isn't really, spending that extra time with me, or it's, I'm not really getting the reps, or just things like that,
It's just okay.
like where
Gotcha.
you just know, you have a feel in the building. You walk in the building and you just feel like it's just not the place for you anymore.
Right.
I've I've always been the type of guy to find the good in the situation that they're in, right? So
Right.
I'm always trying to, hey, well, maybe you should think of it this way. Maybe it's, don't leave right now, like it's probably not time, or just rethink it, or things like that. So I'm just not the coach that says, hey, yo, you got transferred, right? Because
Right.
again,
Yeah.
in this how I am right now, I have a lot
Right.
of influence on kids' lives. And so, what am I teaching that kid? The first thing that goes wrong, you got to
Yeah.
get up out of there. If I call myself a mentor, a liaison, a supporter, a coach, a big brother, why, if I know I hold that power in that kid's life,
Right.
why am I going to go and try to, you know, have him make a decision? And then later on in life where he's not playing anymore, right? He's going to go make that decision. Oh, the ball said this, or this didn't work out, so I'm going to just quit that. I'm going to go do this now. So
Right.
I don't
Right.
want them to think about that. I want them to always think about the pros and cons in the situation and then make the best decision, right? I
Right.
think a lot of people aren't really weighing it. They're just going. And I just want them to understand that that just becomes a pattern, right?
Right.
Usually when you start quitting and it's just a pattern. Now, you're looking at different situations, right? Like if it's a that you can go start somewhere else, that you are ready to do that, you understand that there's some money involved in it as well. Like, all
Right.
right, you go make that move for yourself. You really believe in yourself, go do it. I'm just a person that's there to support all the time.
Definitely.
Whatever decision you want to make, that's just what you have, because I understand that, not only do these, you know, the college coaches start to trust you as well. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So my position, I'm not going to be, I'm going to support whatever he does and wherever he's going, but I don't influence those guys, to, hey, you need to go do this because of that. Like, it's just, hey, whatever you're going to do, let's just make sure you did your homework, you weighed your pros
Hmm.
and cons, you talked with your family, right? And you made the right decision. That's all that's all I care about. And that's the same with, committing and doing all of those things when you leave high school. Like, you know, the trainer should be there to support you, obviously guide you, make sure you're going to go to a spot that can help feature you and your current skill set, but you're still a support system,
Right.
and you just want to, for them to bounce ideas off of you and bounce things off of you. And I think, again, that's what separated me from, just so many guys is people value, some of the things that I say. And I act as a big brother to a lot of guys that, some people might think, oh, well, that guy won't even answer my DM. Like,
Right.
these are guys that, we've developed a relationship. We've went through some hard times together. And, you can see it, like, with me and Jalen Jones and me and Brendan Clark, like, we've been riding since 2017. Those guys have went through a lot of adverse situations, and you still see them come back time after time, and they're putting their best foot forward. And now you see those two, they've been through a lot. Jalen slided to start over at Bethune-Cookman, and then
Hmm.
Brendan's in a really good competition here to start for, Old Dominion. So it's
Yeah.
just like you're just looking at it, and you didn't try to sway them anywhere. You acted as a big
Yep.
brother, as a support system, and you tried to make sure they understood the moves that they were making. And that's how you're at, in someone's wedding. You're 6 years
Yeah. Yeah. I
older
saw
than
that. Yeah.
someone. You know what I'm saying? And you end up in their wedding because you're one of, like I said in the beginning, right? When you step into this role as a quarterback consultant, whatever you want to call yourself, it is a big job. People don't understand that. Like,
Hmm.
it's similar to being a head coach somewhere, because
Right.
you have so many kids. If you have a lot of kids, their parents are saying, reach out to Coach Malcolm, get some advice from him. They're also thinking, hey, I saw this. Hey, is this right? Is this not right? Like,
Mm.
it's
Right.
constant. You know what I'm saying? You are that person to them. They trust you. And you have to understand your power with that as well, because your words really do mean something. And
Right.
so that's why when they're out there, I'm really, I try to make sure I don't bash other people, or I don't say bad things about other trainers and things like that, because I don't want them to know or think that that's how you run business. That's how you run things. We just come out to work. We have a real cool relationship. Those guys know that they can come to me for anything. And that's why they always come back. That's why it's never a question. Hey, where are you gonna go? What are you doing when you come back to Richmond? You're
Right.
going to train. That's
Yeah.
what it is. They're going to go help out at the Christmas camp because that's what they do.
Yep.
That's what it is. That is the what Undefeated has developed for the Richmond area is a community of all different quarterbacks, all different places, all different backgrounds, all different skin colors, and that's just the cool part about it. It's guys that are together that would have probably, never been together other
Right.
than this space right here, and they learn a lot about themselves and other people. They learn to communicate. They learn to communicate with people of different color, different backgrounds, and that's just why we are what we are. It's not
Right.
it's not because Malcolm Bell's the best quarterback trainer ever. It's
Right.
because you're getting so much more than just quarterback development when
Yeah.
you choose Undefeated.
Definitely. And I mean, my final question, and you kind of touched on a little bit about the dedication it really takes to develop something like this. I know you are recently engaged, so congrats on that.
Appreciate it.
With that, I'm thinking about the young coach, in his own relationship, sort of type of
Hmm.
situation. Maybe engaged, married himself, maybe has a kid,
Hmm.
things like that. What would you say is the number one thing that that young coach should be thinking about communicating, or how do you adjust to having that kind of schedule? Because I'm sure your schedule, there's
Yeah.
all sessions everywhere. There's people trying to communicate with you. There's things you might want to add on. Like as you're building something, how do you maintain that relationship while you're still over here trying to build something,
Right.
for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just, always just you have to just really understand and just know that your time means something, right? Your
Right.
time is really worth something, and
Right.
I think that's a lot of. If you talk to a whole lot of trainers that are a little older than me, 40 years old, they will always say that about where I'm at right now, where they went in and really didn't understand or value themselves that much.
Right.
Where they were like, all right, well, I'm gonna just do this because you know everyone wants to help out the youth. That's what it is. Like everyone
Right.
wants to help, but it comes a point where you are that guy that people are relying on, and you have to. At this point, people have to pay for the time,
Right.
and people have to understand that, um, you know, there's you have life and then you have training.
Right.
And for me, I get pulled in a lot of different directions
Yeah.
where, by day I'm doing marketing and communications over at Trinity.
Exactly.
After 3 o'clock, I'm either a football coach or I'm a quarterback trainer. On the weekends, I'm a quarterback trainer. And it's just you finding that balance, with that at home life and football, and finding someone that definitely understands your life as well and understands that football is a huge deal and a huge part of your life. So again, you just always want to just think of those things, but more importantly, is just managing your time and understanding when it's you and your family time, or when it's time to talk to clients, or when it's time to do this stuff. And it's gotten, it gets to some point sometimes, and then it's like, ooh, I feel like I got to reel back a little bit in terms
Yeah.
of just the constant communication.
Right.
And so, just having an assistant to be able to, kind of deal with some of the emails and stuff like that. I just think you have to protect yourself. You have to understand that you can't burn yourself out. Like, this is a beautiful thing, and that's why you have to charge for things. Like it has to happen because you want to be able to enjoy your life and give everything you got to somebody.
Right.
And so I just feel like again, when you start out, you feel like you want to throw deals and things like that, but you got to understand that it's only 24 hours in the day. I can't train all day long.
Right.
I just have to make sure I build a decent schedule, that I make time for the people I need to make time for, parents,
Yeah.
fiance, family, friends, and just understanding that quarterback training, quarterback development, anything, it is a business. And I think entrepreneurs, they have to understand that, yeah, it's something that you love. It's something that you
Right.
love to do for sure. But like you have to put your all into it. You have to approach it as a business.
Right.
So, you have a lot of guys that don't really make a schedule. You got guys that just are, hey, DM me if you want to do this, or hey,
Right.
yo, hit me if you want to do that. And it's not like you're not treating yourself as a business, as a
Mm.
service. You're treating
Yeah.
yourself as just a coach that's just out here doing whatever. And
Yeah.
that doesn't really help you out, and it takes over your life
Right.
because people are not adjusting to you, you're adjusting to them. So now
Mm.
they're taking your time, all your time, right?
You're
And
right.
it's taking the convenience away from it as well. So
Mm.
while you're getting burnt out, I'm looking at it like, man, I went and saw my parents. I went and, had dinner at home. Like just you could do everything and still train.
Right.
But you have to do it the right way. You have to set your schedule. And that's just, if you don't run this like a business, you'll never get to a certain spot, right? You'll start to decline very fast because they love the convenience, right? And they, just you have to offer, really, really good things. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my, thing. Just approach it as a business. Don't go in and it's just because once you start it, like you can't
Yeah.
come back. It's hard to come back from, just texting each other or texting, hey, you want to go here? What time? Do this. Like you don't run it like a business, then your time is never yours. Even your free time is not yours because think about a
Yep.
person that's trying to get out there, that's trying to get their thing done and try to build their brand. They're willing to do anything at
Right.
any point in time. Let's do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Right.
and they're ready to go. They're
Yeah.
ready to call the photographer out. They're ready to do that.
Yep.
And then they find themselves overtraining, and people just don't know, man, like standing out there 6 hours in the heat, like
Yeah.
it takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and, and so I've been really big on having a really good, like work life and training balance. Like,
Mm.
and people really respect that. And some people don't even know that I work at Trinity sometimes. So,
Right.
when things get dicey, you might have to cancel a session here and there. Like, they might be like, well, what do you have? I'm like, man, like I do work too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just you have to have that balance. You have to, know your worth and know that your time does mean something, and people are paying for your time. Like
Right.
literally, they're paying for an hour with you. And so, you need to do everything to dress that up and make it seem nicer than it actually is. And then you'll
Definitely.
start seeing some growth or some success in whatever you're trying to do training wise.
Well, definitely. I mean, I appreciate everything that I mean, you've been dropping all kinds of value to everybody, and I mean, to me, I mean, even just hearing you talk about some of the things and breaking it down for me, I've already learned a lot. Where can people find you? And then any closing remarks that you have again for that business owner
Mm-hmm.
that looks at your brand and wants to do the same thing, and then we'll go ahead and just wrap it up from there. So
Yeah. Instagram and Twitter, that is at MDOTBELL underscore. So M.Bell underscore. That's pretty much on pretty much every social, I think. And then if you want to just check out what we offer in terms of camps, or you just want background information on me and things like that, you can go to undefeatedqbt.com. And I guess just closing remark will just be, you know, I want to help everyone, right? I want to help everyone out. I want to make sure that Richmond becomes a place where a lot of college coaches around the country are constantly checking in on and seeing who the next guy will be from this area. And so, no matter what, if you feel like you have a quarterback, you feel like they have something, you want to get them into some programs, just check with us, right? Just let us be one of those development programs that you give a chance, and then just see what it does to them, and we go from there. But anybody, East End, West End, North Side, all everywhere, Virginia, North Carolina, doesn't really matter. We just want everybody to become a better quarterback, better than they were when they stepped on the field. So, yeah, that's about it.
cool. Well, Coach Malcolm, I definitely want to thank you for being on this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just sharing all kinds of stuff, a lot of wisdom. Everybody, all his information will be in the show notes, so please go feel free to check him out. This has been another episode of the Sport of Business Podcast, and we'll see you all next time.
All right, guys.